Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. You can find us all over social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. And if you're a big fan of the show and you want to support us, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. As always, no pressure, low pressure. I understand people got expenses. Life is expensive. It's okay. But just $1 a month would honestly make a huge difference to us, and it really does make our lives that much easier. So big thank you to our patrons. And that means I got to give a thank you to one of our new patrons, Mr. DeMark Jennings. DeMark, thank you so much for becoming a patron. That is so sweet. Really do appreciate you, and thank you so much. I know that name. I know you've been a listener for a while, and so whatever it was that inspired you to help us out, it is appreciated. So big thank you to DeMark. Big thank you to our patrons. This one goes out to you guys. What else? We're a proud part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. You can check out those shows at rf4rm.com. And then, as always, I'm your Bat host, Andy DiGenova. Same as always, you can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. In this episode, I'm going to be chatting with someone I've been wanting to chat with for far too long. And that is Jason J. Lewis. He was the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. And we're going to talk about his fandom. We're going to talk about Batman. We're going to talk about him playing Superman in animation. And then we're going to talk about the new movie. And then we're going to talk about some other things. The chat was really fun. It was great. It was illuminating. It was unexpected. Really had a great time chatting with Jason, and I'm excited to share that with all of you. Joining me is, well, it's just Jason. It's me right now, and then in a minute, it's going to be me and Jason. So you get the old intro, outro of solo Andy, but the bulk of the episode is going to be talking to Jason about all things Superman, so I hope you enjoy that. Yeah. Let's do it. Without further ado, it is time to check in and hear my conversation with Jason J. Lewis. All right, I'm very pleased to welcome Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman from Justice League Action, to Holy BatCast. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, Andy. Thanks for having me on, man. It's glad to finally be here.
It is exciting to finally have you here because we've talked about this for literally years.
Literally years.
Literally.
I'm ashamed that it's been that long.
It's okay. Life happens. We get distracted. We check in every once in a while. I'm like, oh yeah, we got to do that. And then just, it's fine. But
we get married, we have kids, we have pandemics, it's like things happen.
Ain't that the truth? But it's better late than never. Glad to finally have you. And happy to talk some Superman with you. This is the summer of Superman.
Boy, what a time to be Superman anything.
Yeah.
Oh, what a treat. I mean, it's just so delightful to see people being joyful about comic book movies again,
That joyful is a great word for it. And I think that's, I don't want to jump ahead. We're going to talk about the new movie, but yeah. I am loving seeing people embrace the joy and kindness of the new film.
Yes, I agree. And because there were so many holdouts for the Snyder vision of things, which I totally get and understand, but it's nice to see people embracing this and just going, yes, this is Superman. So it's really great.
Yeah, it's exciting. So Summer of Superman, we've been celebrating it all summer long here on the podcast. Poor Batman, we've been neglecting him.
It's okay. He can take it.
Yeah, he'll be back. But I'm just taking the lead from Warner Brothers right now, and I'm neglecting Batman.
That's okay. But speaking of Batman,
yes.
My wife and I, we went and saw Batman live at the Detroit Symphony.
I remember. Oh, sorry. The live in concert.
Yeah, live in concert. Yes, so they played the Danny Elfman score live to the movie. And it was like seeing it for the first time. Like I had not seen it in a bit. I'd seen bits and pieces of it, but haven't watched the whole thing in a long time. And just watching that with the music live, it was like, I mean, I was watching it for the first time and catching so many new things. And my wife actually realized she hadn't seen it at all, so it was a
Whoa.
whole new experience for her. And she said, you know, any under any other circumstance, I don't think I would have liked it as much as I did watching it with the symphony.
Hmm.
And just, you know, but she too was blown away by all the performances, and just, and they still hold up, man. They still hold up, and Burton's vision still holds up, and it's really cool to watch that. Anyway,
No, that's I love that you did that.
the
Like,
Batcast.
no, it's okay. We did that a year or two ago here in Orlando, and
Oh,
same. It
cool.
was amazing. You know, I've seen it countless times, but like watching it like that, it just makes you appreciate the music that much more.
Yes. Oh,
And
yeah.
B, you have like, you know, so many like old movies or older, like you put
Mhm.
them on, you're doing other things, but like when you're sitting it like that, you like get to focus on it like you don't
Yes.
usually, and that's yeah, you pick up on things or appreciate
Well,
new things.
and I think I was so, when I saw it when I was 13, you know, when it first came out, I was so overwhelmed and just so taken in by the event of it all,
Mhm.
that the finer points of the plot and the story just kind of like went over my head, you know.
Yeah.
And watching it like this, I was like really engaged with the whole story of it all this time. I was like, this is great. Like, this is
Mhm.
really well done. And you don't. What's interesting is, now that we have all the other, you know, library of Batman films that we have, you know, we we have an origin story, but it's not like, you know, this kind of like big heavy thing. He's Batman. He's new in city, and we just pick up from there. You know what I mean? And it's interesting. They touch on the backstory, but, you know, they don't have the whole like League of Shadows thing, and it's so, it was kind of refreshing to enjoy something just so pure, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
simple. So,
Well, they are releasing Batman and Batman Returns in
mhm.
Dolby at the end of the month.
No.
And so I don't know if you have a Dolby theater near you, but they're
Oh,
doing
yes.
a double feature. The problem is it's a Monday night. So I
Oh,
bought the tickets,
yeah.
but Catherine and I are like, "Oh, can we do a double feature on a Monday night,
Yeah, that's
on a school
yeah.
night?"
We're parents now. It's
I
old.
know, right? Like
Really?
so like we were just talking about before I hit record, like, you know, that means babysitter, but it also
Yeah,
means like we have work the next day. So and
yeah,
now we're old and tired because we're parents.
yeah.
So I'm trying to make it. I mean, I have the tickets, but
Oh,
I
man.
think I just want to power through because I want to see them that way. And you're right, like Tim Burton's version, you know, it's not for everybody. I freaking love it, and
Yeah.
personally, I think it's aged beautifully because of
Mhm.
Tim
Agreed.
Burton's style. It's allowed it to feel
Agreed.
more timeless.
And I think in Batman Returns, which received a lot of controversy and kind of negativity when it came out, I think has aged much better.
It has, yeah.
It's really such a delightful movie to watch now than then. I think, you know, because we
For
had so
sure.
many high expectations after Batman came out, and I still loved it then, but I definitely was like a little like, "Ah, it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be," you know,
Yeah.
and but that's, you know, that's what we do as fans. But now, like, appreciating it, and just the and what Burton was doing with that movie, it's so good. Like,
Mm,
it's just
yeah.
so fun to watch now.
I'm with you. I'm a big fan, but same, like back in 1992, I liked it, but yes,
Hmm.
it was so different
Hmm.
than Batman that like
Hmm.
so you're like, "Oh, that's not what I expected it to be." But the years have been kind to Batman Returns,
It
which makes
has.
me happy,
Yes.
because it is now considered a classic.
Oh,
Entertainment Weekly, I think, they just ranked all the Superman and Batman movies, and
mhm.
they put Returns at number one,
Really?
which even I wouldn't put Returns at number. I love it, but I wouldn't put it at number one. But I was like,
That's
I respect the
surprising.
chutzpah. Yeah,
That's, I mean, wow. With, especially with like the Dark Knight trilogy, and
I
now,
know.
and
Yeah,
Batman, you know, the Batman, which I actually really enjoyed the Batman. I thought it was great. But yeah, that's interesting. Oh,
yeah,
I'll have to look at that up. Oh man, but that's, hey, fandom. You know what I mean?
yeah. We
It's
love
fun.
it.
I love it.
It's a lifelong thing.
Did
Um,
you read the DC Batman '89 comic that they did?
I did. I did.
Yeah, that was great too.
Yeah,
Or like,
I
well,
like the
Batman
first
3 might have been.
one. The latest. First of all, it took them forever to finish it, but
Yes.
I need to read it again. My first read was like, it wasn't great, which made me sad. But I enjoyed the first one more because they've done two now, two
How much
miniseries.
would I have loved to seen a Billy D. Williams
Oh,
two-piece?
I
Man,
know. I
That
know.
was such a great casting. I mean, I was thinking about that watching again recently. You know, when we went, I was like, that was such a good casting choice. He would have been so great, and I would have
Yep.
loved to have seen that.
I know. Like, and you hear him talk about it, and he's, he's still bummed all these years later that he's like, yeah, I would have,
Yeah, I
I
wish I
would have
could, but
loved that. Yeah.
I wish I could have been Two Face. But hey,
Right.
they didn't want me. It's okay.
But yep, I think he still got paid, so good for
Yeah,
him.
he did. Yeah, he's doing very well.
Awesome. Well, I mean, it was really Batman in 1989 that made me the hardcore Batman fan. But I've always loved Batman. I've always loved Superman. What about you?
Mhm.
Like you are now connected to Superman, but were you always a Superman fan?
I think yes. I mean, I was always a Superman fan, but Batman, like yourself, took me in. And I was telling Annie this, my wife, when we went and saw it at the Detroit Symphony. I was like, that movie kind of it changed all of our lives. I think.
Hmm.
I think it really changed our whole perspective on what a comic book hero could be. I mean, but what's great about it is you contrast it with the Donner Superman of '78, and that was such a great vision for that time. You know what I mean? Like you,
Yeah.
there was nothing like it, and it's a perfect Superman movie. It captures him perfectly, and I've always been a fan of that movie. In fact, I would go so far as to say as all the original Superman films, even 3 and 4, I was just gaga over when I was a kid.
I mean,
Yeah.
same, but like it was still Superman, and it
Yeah.
was and it was what
Mhm.
we had. We didn't have
Yep.
many options back then,
And
so
that's true too. I mean,
yeah.
like you look at the movies now in the Marvel, lexicon. I think yeah, it's what we had back then. And but what's great about Superman, the Donner movie, is it still holds up over time.
Yeah. Just
Whereas,
like Burton,
mhm,
it's timeless. Like, I mean, yes, there are things that feel 70s, but like he went for this very like timeless classic feel, which
mhm,
makes it still work.
yeah, it felt like a neo '70s of like with
Yeah.
a '40s twist or something.
Right, right.
It was great. It was kind of like the Batman animated series where it was like this Hollywood noir kind of, that pulled from Tim Burton's universe but made it its own thing. But it felt
Mhm.
like it was in the 1940s, which I loved.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I just rewatched all of the Superman films in the lead up to the new
Mhm.
one, and Superman the movie is just I still think it's my favorite.
So good.
Yeah, I really love the new one. I really love Man of Steel. I love Superman too. So like
Yeah.
I like a lot of Superman movies, but I still think Donner's still comes in first for me.
No, and I think that as good as Gunn's film is, as good. I mean, it really is good. Yeah, the Donner film still holds up as being the penultimate. And really it's also you know because they had done nothing like that before. They were able to tell the story in a very grand and beautiful way.
Hmm.
And they really got people. They did the origin perfect.
Yeah.
And but some of the shots in that film, the cinematography is so beautiful.
Hmm.
Like when he's standing in the field and Martha comes out to talk to him before he leaves, and it's like that shot is just so epic and it's straight out of a comic book,
Yeah.
and it just really is so delightful. And then that first shot of the Daily Planet, and it just everything is so cinematic and so great,
Hmm.
and really it just is delightful, and I love it so much. Um, what was it? I was gonna say. So yeah, and then Superman 2, the Donner cut is so fascinating. I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched the Donner cut. I think
Yeah.
I watched it when it came out because it was a big deal.
Hmm.
I need to revisit it probably sooner than later. So when I did my rewatch, I went with the theatrical. But yeah,
Hmm.
that whole backstory. It's funny because as a kid, I loved Superman too because I loved Zod, Ursa, and Nan. Um,
Yes.
and I was a kid. I was blissfully unaware of any of
Hmm.
this drama. Right? Then you get older, and
Yeah.
the internet's invented, and nerds start talking about superhero movies ad nauseum. And I'm like, I learned all about this stuff when I was an adult, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize. And so
Yeah.
yeah, the Donner
I didn't
Cut
either.
was such a big deal when they finally released it.
Yeah, and I guess they filmed them together, is what I understand.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, which is fascinating because it was designed to be kind of one story,
right.
and you can see that now, with the honor cut and everything else. which is kind of cool, and I love that idea because there's so much more to the villains of Superman than Lex Luthor, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I love that. And let's just can we touch on Hackman's performance for a minute
Yes, yes, we
because look,
can.
I just love it so much.
Yeah.
He could have been miscast for that, but he made it his own
Hmm.
and really in a gave us such a delightful Lex Luthor and villainous. I mean, he's so villainous
Hmm.
because he's playing the opposite constantly. You know, smiling when he's putting a dagger in your back, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
I
it's maniacal.
yeah, Hackman is he's so damn good and he's so fun to watch. Um, but yeah, I like there's that moment where, the missiles are on their way and Miss Tessmacher's like, "Oh, that's where my mother lives," and he just looks at her and shakes his head.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, he still
he's
can
like
be,
not
yeah,
anymore.
cold Lex Luthor.
Yeah, and that was really that captured the perfect Lex Luthor. It really did, and I yeah, it's great, and it's funny because it's interesting that they felt like they needed Otis, they needed Miss Tessmacher. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Those comedic devices. It's interesting that they felt like they needed that because I almost think the film could have been just as good without them.
Well, he
You
needed
know,
someone to explain his plans to. So
yeah,
so you always need someone.
yeah, I guess that's true. Um, but
That's like there's Batman and Robin, the
yes,
infamous George Clooney movie. There's that scene which is like the worst example of it, where Mr. Freeze goes, "Frosty, come here," and he just monologues to him about his plan. He's like, "No, get out of here," and
yeah,
it's like
that's
he
right.
brought him over just to explain his
I
plan.
forgot about that. That's really funny. Oh my gosh. Well, you're right, and and Ned Beatty's delightful. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Ned Beatty, and he was so funny.
Yeah,
But it's just interesting that they felt like they needed those devices to tell the story.
right. Yeah,
Because I feel like Hagman did such a nice job,
yeah, he's great.
convincing everybody that he was Lex Luthor, even though I think a lot of people didn't think he was going to pull it off. So
Well, I mean, and it was smart, especially back then. Like, Donner he wanted to make Superman, but he wanted to give it this level of prestige and this
Mhm,
level of respectability, and that's why he cast
mhm.
Hackman, who was
Yeah,
a great
at
actor
the
in the
time
seven.
was at the top of his game. Yes.
Exactly,
Mhm. Correct.
and Brando and
Brando,
yeah,
yes.
like
Oh my gosh.
just filling the Superman movie with these really great respected actors, and then introducing us all to Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, and I had just read. Yeah, well, my gosh, of course, right? And I just read recently that Brando wouldn't do the movie unless he had an S on his chest as well. Is that? Did you
Oh,
see
I don't
this
know.
recently?
There are so many. I don't think I've
And
heard
I don't
that
know how
one, but
true it is. If the
uh,
internet's just kind of yanking my chain, but I was like, that sounds like Brando. Uh,
well, there are all kinds of
Put an
stories about
S on
him
my chest
being
too.
crazy.
Yeah,
So, like I
I'm
guess
Superman too.
his lines were on the diaper of the baby because he
Yeah,
refused to memorize them, and
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so funny. And
yeah,
it's like, and Brando's regarded as such this like prestigious actor, and I think he was just like phoning things in, but was still great.
yeah, that's
You know,
just it. Is like he didn't want to be there. He
yeah,
made no bones about telling everyone that he didn't care about this movie,
yeah,
and yet when you watch the movie, he's really damn good in it because it's like even when Brando's
yeah,
cashing a paycheck, he's good.
yeah, exactly. I mean, he just barely lifts his finger and it's done. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's great. That's so good. No, I'm glad we're talking about this because it's in light of everything, it's fun to retrospect all of it.
It is, and
Um,
I had a blast like watching them all.
yeah,
Even the
even
less
the
good
best
ones,
movies.
right? I had fun watching them.
It's funny because I had a VHS recorded Superman 4 off HBO when you had the cable previews,
Yeah.
back in the day, when you got HBO for the weekend, and you're like, get the VCR ready, we're recording everything,
Oh yeah.
and it was Superman 4, and I was like, yes, and I think I watched that one more than I'd watched the original when I was a
Oh,
kid, you
I
know,
was absolutely the same because
yeah,
that was the one that was constantly on TV when we were
yes,
kids,
yes,
because it was the new one, and so yeah,
yeah.
that one I saw more than any of them, and I was a kid. I was just happy to be watching Superman. I didn't know it was bad.
Mhm. Yeah. Nope. Nope. Didn't know it was bad
Yep.
until later.
And then you grow up and you rewatch it and you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
And
Bizarre. Yeah.
and with and the same thing in Superman 3. Like, why did they feel they needed Richard Pryor? Like I just
Right.
I just that's interesting. Um, and then I will say though, I did like what they were doing with like the Dark Clark. I thought that was
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's I feel like that is the most interesting thing about that movie. Because
Yeah,
even three, it's probably my least favorite. I still
yeah,
have fun watching it.
yeah.
So for what it's worth, you
Oh,
know.
for sure. But I like that they were exploring that part of it, and like
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh wow, he's got to kind of wrestle some demons now, and it was like that actually was a very appealing idea. I wish it was explored in a better film.
Right.
Um,
But no, it is interesting of like what are they going to do to switch it up, and it allows Christopher Reeve to play some different sides, and
mhm.
it's always fun to watch an actor who's usually playing a hero finally get to play a villain, because you can just tell they're having fun because
Oh
it's
my
such a
god.
nice change for them.
Yes, well, like Hugh Grant lately has been doing these villainous
Yeah.
roles, like in Dungeons
Right.
and Dragons and Heretic, which I just saw recently, and and he's just having a blast being like this smirking villain, this charming smirking villain.
Right.
He was funny in Dungeons and Dragons, though. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see
I
that?
I did, and I liked it, but I only saw it the once, so it's
Okay.
a little fuzzy.
I just recently saw it with my kids, and because we were looking for something to watch one day, and I'm set. By the way, I'm in my new studio-ish area, which is in our basement. When we just moving to Michigan, we have a basement now, and so I'm
Ooh,
very
excited!
excited.
I
Um,
listen. I'm from the Midwest. I
yeah.
miss my basements. I do. I haven't
Uh,
had one in my adult life, but I miss my basement as a kid
oh
because it
man, so
gives.
we're creating the movie theater here, man. I got the
Oh,
projector and I got the screen, and we're getting the couch soon, and it's gonna be like, So we were watching it on the screen. It was so much fun watching Dungeons and Dragons. I just thought we loved it. I was surprised how good it was.
yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, but Hugh Grant was just a delightful villain in that. Like,
He
holy,
was he was having fun.
yeah, yeah.
And you're an actor. You've done a lot of different things over the years.
Mhm.
And most notably Superman. And I think the
Yes,
first time we met was at Comic-Con so many years ago.
yes.
Uh when I think it was like in the middle of season 1 of Justice League Action.
Yeah, I think yeah, it was when we were recording was it 2016 or 2017? I think because 2016, well that's true. I think maybe I was recording it and it hadn't come out yet maybe.
I
Was
can't
that?
remember. Yeah, like it was Comic-Con, so it would have been July. So but I feel like
Yeah.
we had already seen some episodes by then.
Yeah, because so that must have been 2017 because
Yeah, yeah.
that was the year that we had the official panel. 2016 they announced it. We had
Okay.
kind of like a not a official panel, but it was kind of an official panel. But
Mhm.
2017 was the year we had like this official panel for us, and then they premiered a couple episodes, and then we did an autograph signing at the booth, and that was for a nerd, it doesn't get much better than that. Like
That's so cool.
for a nerd making it to that stage and doing all that, it was like the best. So.
So tell us how you got the gig of being the voice of Superman.
Well, so my this goes back to it's kind of very full circle. My wife had just finished her season of theater in St. George, and she was coming back in 2014. Um, and while she was the last couple weeks she was there, these auditions came along. I think this was like in I want to say like September of 2014, and these auditions came along that for all the DC heroes, and it was basically kind of like when they hand you these auditions, they're like, okay, auditions for all the ones that you think are great, do five,
Mhm.
and the ones that you think you'd be right for. So I was like, okay, so I wound up reading for I think the five I read for were was Batman. I actually tried to read for Batman
Awesome.
and Joker. And then there were a couple other like supporting characters. There are some other villains I was interested, but oddly enough, I was actually a little hesitant to audition for Superman,
Oh.
and because I thought, well, it's Tim Daly, George. What am I gonna bring to this guy that these guys haven't? And I just thought, and what voice am I gonna do? And it was like I can't do like a big cartoony voice because that's, or a big character, but that's not Superman.
Hmm.
And if I'm just myself, it may not read as much of a, I don't know. It's like, it's like you want to live in that character Superman, and just my own voice, not that it's bad or anything, but just, is it what people would envision Superman being?
Hmm.
Um, and so I thought, and it was the last audition I did, and I thought, oh, you know what, I'll give it a try, because I was reading through the script, and I thought the scripts were funny, and I was like, ooh, this is more of a funny guy, funny DC, and I was like, this is great, and so I started playing with different tonations, and I started out with just my basic voice, and then I didn't like it when when I listened to it back. And then I was like, well, maybe if I, you know, give myself a little bit of a ball in the back of the throat there, and kind of make it sound, and I have to enunciate everything very, very clearly. And then that's when I realized, oh, that's where he lives.
Hmm.
And I just want to make sure everything sounds completely honest and forthright. And of course, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of Reeve completely,
Hmm.
because it was very much based in his nuance. Um, and it's interesting because a lot of the internet thinks that I was like copying Tim Daly or George Newbern. He's like, it sounds just like him, and I'm like, I guess maybe, I don't know, because I mean, it wasn't something that was totally on my mind. Of course, I was aware of it, but I was really trying to find something that I could bring to the table myself that was
Hmm.
inspired by things done in the past, but not a copy.
Hmm.
And so I did. So I read the script, and I sent it off, and they said, if we're going to record this like the last week of October, so you'll hear something. And so it came and went, and I didn't hear anything, and so I let it go. And so I didn't think much of it. And that's the way voiceover goes. You put a bunch of stuff out there, and maybe you hear on one or two of them a year. Um, but then the end of October comes. My wife is now home from her theater contract, and we're getting acclimated, and back to having her back, and my daughter, which Marigold at the time was just a baby. Um, she's now 12.
Oh, wow.
It's weird. But I got an email one day when I was coming home from work, and I got in the house, and I was checking my email on my phone, and my agent said, "Hey," and it was literally my Tom Lawless, my agent at Vox. He writes so many emails a day. He must just not think about the impact that some of his emails have. You know, because he's like, "Hey, they want to hear you for Superman. Are you available?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Wait, what?" And I had to reread it like 6 times. I'm like, "Wait, really?" And they're like, "I'm like, yeah, I'm available. You're going to record a pilot. They want to hear you." And I was like, oh wow, okay. And I'm like, Annie, I was like, that I was showing her the phone. I just handed her the phone. She was like, what? And I was like, I know. I was like, I don't know. I was like trying to like, I was like kind of freaking out a little bit. And so then a couple weeks later we go to Warner Brothers and record the pilot. And and what's interesting about pilots is, if you're listening to an actor, it's like you don't know if it's gonna sink or swim.
Hmm.
You go in, you do the recording, and they said, look, we're going to record you and these other people, and then we'll let you know after the beginning of the year if this goes. And I was like, okay.
Hmm.
And then I met Rachel, who when it was Wonder Woman,
Hmm.
and that was the first time I met, and we both were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. A lot of the other cast were. It's interesting because the cast the rest of the cast that they had brought in for the pilot was very different than the cast that eventually came on.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I don't want to say any more about that because I don't want to like uncover anyone else. But
Yeah, fair
but
enough.
yeah, but it just, and they were all wonderful actors, and they all gave great performances, and I thought this is great. And I'm thinking like, okay, they want to get some people that maybe haven't had to go at some of these voices before, and I'm thinking that's cool, that's great. And so we let it go, and I have a wonderful session with Wes Gleason, the director, who's amazing, and a wonderful voice director. And we do. I think the pilot we did was it Galaxy Jest? I think that was the pilot episode we recorded. And so I think that was it. Anyway, and so the holidays go and come. 2015 begins.
Mhm.
And it's February, and I haven't really heard anything. So I'm like, my wife and I are like, maybe I should let it go. It's not going to happen. It was a nice thought.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, I get an email saying, "Hey, they want your availability. They want to use you. We're going to record every 3 weeks." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is happening!" And then like it's a 52 episode deal, and I was like, "Holy cow!" I was like, and they're like these short kind of 10-minute episodes, and which makes it their thought in that with this new media thing we're doing now, it's like they create two 12-minute episodes that equal 24 minutes, which is kind of like your normal broadcast.
Right.
And then they would air them both in the same half hour.
Mhm.
That's not eventually what happened with Cartoon Network, but that was their thought, and that's how they were preparing them.
Mhm.
And so I get to the record and the first day, and Wes is so nice. He's so sweet, and he kind of pulled me aside and he said, "Look, man," he's like, we. I just want to let you know we loved all your auditions, and there was a lot of us that thought maybe you should be Batman." And I was like, "What?" And I was like,
Wow.
"Are you kidding?"
That's
And
great.
but we all listened to your Superman audition again and said, "No, this is it. This is our guy." And he's like, "But you were really, I mean, all your auditions were great." And at that time, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that meant so much coming from a guy like Wes,
Yeah, for sure.
who had just, I knew was such a great director, and plus I'm sure whoever heard it, I mean, who knows, in the production team. And so that really meant a lot. And but then a few minutes later, he's like, "Well, we're waiting for our Batman to show up," and I think it was this one guy, and he's like, "It's gonna be Kevin Conroy," and I was like, "What? Yeah, what is this?" I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we decided to bring Kevin back," and I was like, "Oh, okay," you know.
Well, it's hard to feel too bad about not getting the gig over Kevin Conroy.
Well, and that's the thing, I'm sure, but that's the thing. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like,
Well, there, welcome to the party, pal.
yeah, and I'm like, wait, they could have got Tim or George or anybody back, and it was like it was nuts, and so I just was like, oh my gosh, Kevin's coming, and so I actually I remember I left the studio because I had to kind of take a breath, and I was like, this is weird, and then I walk out and there's like this set of stairs into the hallway, and he's coming up, and he's like, hi, and I'm like, hi. Hi, Jason. And I'm like
Mhm.
nerding out and trying not to act like an idiot. But then we went to record, and it was great. And he stood. So in this, Warner Brothers likes to record as a cast, which I love and I miss.
That's cool.
Yeah, I miss it. Since pandemic, there hasn't been a lot of that, and there's something special about the chemistry of people together that Disney doesn't like to do it that way, and it's interesting. They like to have a lot of different people in the booth alone, and they like to have like a lot of different takes, and then they like to really play with that and cut it together. That's their thing. I think that's cool and that's fine, but I love the synergy of having the people together. And it was Kevin and me and Rachel, and that first session I'm trying to remember who was there, who else was there.
Oh,
um
there's your trinity right there.
yeah,
I
yeah, it
mean,
was,
how awesome. So
it's great.
Rachel was on this show years ago.
Yeah.
And she's been so kind to us over the years, and
Oh
so
yeah,
I just think that's so cool that, I mean, yeah, the DC Trinity of you guys all
oh
together.
my gosh. And it was just as exciting for Rachel, because she's like, where I've been overlooked for things on camera because of certain things, it feels good to be in this role now, because she's had quite a career,
Mhm.
with so many different things, and she just was like so excited about this, and she did such a masterful job at Wonder
Mhm.
Woman. I thought she was delightful, and brought such a kind of sassiness and confidence and kick-assness to Wonder Woman that you really needed. Plus, I love the style of the artwork.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought the look of the show, because we went in for that first session, they had all the designs up, and Sean Glines, I think his name is. He did a lot of the designing for the show, and it was just delightful. Shane Glenn, sorry. And it was so good. It had this kind of retro feel. It almost looked like
Mhm.
the old Superman cartoon, from the 40s and
Yeah.
stuff. And I just was so excited about that. And I love the kind of the punk rock look of Wonder Woman, with her kind of spiky hair. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, this
yeah.
is awesome, dude.
The animation was so gorgeous on that show. I loved it. It was one of those where I remember seeing the initial designs and being like, interesting, different. And then I saw it in motion and I was like, oh God, what a cool
Yeah.
looking show and cool versions of all the characters.
Yeah, and they and then Batman with his kind of classic look, but yeah,
Mhm.
it was great, and yeah, and everybody looked great. And what was fun is they brought so many characters from the DC pantheon in, and as I recorded over that season, it was just delightful to see them mine the core of these these characters.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I know. I mean, one of my biggest sadnesses is that they didn't do more because like you're
mhm.
right, they pulled so many great obscure DC characters into the show. They could have kept going and yeah. Anyway, we'll get there.
Like Space Cabbie, I mean,
Yes, right, exactly. Mr. Mind.
Yeah, Mr. Mind. I mean, and Patton Oswalt, the space cat. I didn't get to record with Patton because he always did a remote. But I mean, what a great, what a great casting choice.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But it was cool. And then what was fun is throughout the season too is Wes would we'd come in and do episodes, and then he kind of say, hey, he called me the day or two before record and say, hey, I want you to work on these characters too, and he'd throw a couple extra little characters my way, and it was really great because he let me do Zod as well as Superman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And when that opportunity came up, I said, "Oh, Wes, really?" He's like, "Yep." And he's like, "What are you thinking for Zod? What are you feeling?" I was like, "Well, I like the new one, Man of Steel, but was it Michael? What's his name?
Shannon.
Michael Shannon, thank you. And but I feel like this is more like Terrence Stamp territory. He's like, Terrence Stamp it up, man, do it. And I was like, all right. So I did the whole kneel before Zod kind of,
Awesome. Yeah.
classic, Terrence Stamp voice. And it was funny because the design wound up. I didn't see the design of Zod, but they wound up making him look a little younger because the Michael Shannon character was so close.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
it all worked. It was fine. Uh, but it was really fun to do that and to hear my voice next to my voice.
I
In,
mean,
in the
I didn't realize that, but that's just so fun. Is yeah, you got to play the hero and the villain.
yeah, and it is fun. It is true what they say that playing the villain can be a lot more fun than than the hero, because you just get these delicious lines like like kneel before Zod. And it's like,
Awesome.
oh my god, I got to say that. That was so
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
one of the most famous lines in superhero history.
Oh my god, easily. Um,
What other characters did you do in addition to those?
well, let's see. I did one of Darkseid's minions, Desaad,
Oh,
who's
cool.
like this
Desaad,
like
yeah.
sorcerer. Yeah, yeah. I got you. So I didn't know much about. I mean, I knew about Darkseid, but I didn't know much about Apocalypse and the whole crew
Mhm.
until we did the show. And doing the research, I was like, oh, Desaad's actually kind of a neat character, and he kind of wanted me to sound like, yeah, Wes is like, I'm thinking kind of like the Grima Wormtongue from the Lord
Mm,
of the Rings animated thing, and I'm like, oh, I was like, that's an
totally.
interesting choice, and what I wound up coming up with was something more like this, and it was like, yeah, it was cool, man. I was like, it was fun to play that character because he's such a wuss,
Yeah.
and dull creature, but it wound up, I accidentally sounding a little like Mark Hamill, so it was completely unintentional. But yeah, it was funny.
That's awesome. So yeah, so you I mean in it was just one season, wasn't it? It was the 152
Yeah,
episode season.
one incredibly long season, which feels. I mean, I think they divided it up into two discs, so it feels like two seasons. But
Yeah. So how long were you recording? Like months,
man,
weeks?
so the pilot was November of 2014, and then we started recording the episodes in February of next year.
Hmm.
I think I was recording episodes of the main season. It took us about a year to get
Oh,
through,
wow.
almost a year, better part of a year.
Hmm.
And then, but then as we had finished those, as we finished the official recording of production, some of the episodes were starting to come back from Korea because they did a lot of the animation over there. And so it was ADR time. And
Mm.
so they were like, okay, so we're going to go right into post and ADR. And so then I wound up recording for the show until I think almost 27, like mid 2017, like right
Oh,
before
wow.
May of 2017. I think was my last record for the show.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it was really fun. I mean, I remember the first time I got to see the show, the opening credits. I kind of like was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so amazing. And you know what's and the hard part about it is Cartoon Network, and I guess Warner Brothers Animation have a bit of a butting of heads. I wasn't, some of the producers would kind of say, yeah, well, we'll see. It's like and I didn't realize there was such a tension between them.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and so but I guess, and I don't really even know all the details of it. I just know that Cartoon Network seemed to bury the show, and in fact, none of us get a lot of the details. So,
Yeah.
we were all in the dark until they aired, and even the production team was just like, this is not what we thought was going to happen, and we're so sorry. They felt really bad because they put the show on at Saturday morning at like 7 a.m. or something,
Mm.
and instead of airing two episodes, they only aired one, like 12-minute episode. And we were like, and everyone was just scratching their heads, like, what is going on? And so, obviously it was something they were, Cartoon Network was doing, I think, because they had an agreement with Warner Brothers Animation or something. I don't know all the details,
Mm.
but they just didn't, let the show have the life that I think it deserved.
Right.
However, they did go to great lengths to putting them on their website and keeping them very relevant. So I feel like the show developed a fan base, as it was airing, even though it didn't get a lot of airtime. But it's gotten more of a fan base since it's aired, and people have discovered it on video and digital, and they're going, "What's this show? This was so cool. How did I miss this?" And so
Hmm.
it's been delightful to see how people have discovered it since then. In fact, another podcast just recently, they just recently did a little kind of like a overview of the show,
Oh, really? That's, I
and
mean,
I
yeah.
can't remember who it was, but they just reached out to me and were like, "Hey, do you want to be on the show too?" And I'm like, "All right." But they were talking about great, it's a DC animated content podcast, and they were really excited about Justice League Action and talking about it, and just specifically pointed out me and Rachel and Jim Krieg, who's one of our writers and producers,
Hmm.
and just how great some of those episodes were. I mean, Jim was a writer, but he wound up kind of being more of a producer for the show as time
Hmm.
went on. And then he brought in a lot of fresh young writers like Jeremy Adams and Tim Sheridan, who have gone on to now write for DC
Yeah.
and in the larger scope of things. And that was kind of like, Jim brought him in. He gave him the chance to kind of show him what he can do. And they wrote some great episodes. Ernie Altbacker wrote some great episodes. And then Paul Dini even came in,
Yeah.
yeah, and
He
wrote a few.
did.
And
Did he do? I think he did the Halloween one.
he did, yeah. I wasn't involved with that one,
Yeah, Superman's
unfortunately.
not in that one. Sorry,
Sadly, which
but I do.
I was so bummed about at the time because I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is such a fun story."
I love that one. I watch it every year like it's a
Yeah,
Halloween special.
yeah.
Same thing with the Christmas one. I watch the
But he
Christmas
wrote the
one every
Christmas one
Christmas.
too, and
Oh, okay.
that one I love.
It's great.
That one is adorable and touching and everything that you know you'd want out of a Christmas story like that, and then
Yeah.
and Charles Slattery, he was our Flash, and God bless him, he was so darn funny in that episode.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yes.
It was so good, and just bringing Superman from the Batcave to the Christmas party.
Right.
it was it was great. It
That's
was
great.
great.
I mean, We did our part here at Holy BatCast trying to get people to watch Justice League Action because we were in on the ground floor,
Mhm.
and we always say, and you've got kids, I've got kids, like how important it is to have especially DC content for younger kids as like an entry
Yeah.
point.
Yes.
And what I love about something like Justice League Action, and it was also same with like The Brave and the Bold, where
Uh-huh.
it was very accessible to kids without being kidified.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
like
Hmm.
I didn't have kids when it came out. I loved it then, but like now it's something I can show my kids
Yeah.
and it's totally cool for them too. So it's like a great all ages show to introduce these characters to the next generation of fans.
Totally. And I know that that was definitely the heart of what they were trying to do. They wanted to keep the humor and the action and the wittiness to appeal to adults, but also not so much so that it excluded kids. And you know, we all know the DC animated pantheon can be a little dark, and
Yeah.
and there's some really great animated pieces that are designed for adults. There's no question about it.
Oh yeah.
And I love all of them. But it's nice when you have something. You're right, something like this to kind of let's introduce the kids to the DC
Hmm.
universe, and what a great show to do it, because then you get Booster Gold and Plastic Man and Space Cabbie and all these kind of like supporting characters in the DC universe that you don't get to always see, and villains too, like like Felix Faust and all these other
Hmm.
guys that aren't the typical DC fare,
Right.
but really are fun characters to explore. So
Yeah. Have your kids watched it?
um so it's hard because I feel like I try to encourage them to watch it, and and get them into it, but it's one of those things where it's like, oh dad, but with the few episodes when we've sat down and watched it together, they actually really do love. And I think my 5-year-old Jesse, he seems much more like into it.
Hmm.
um I don't my 12-year-old Marigold, she definitely has the lights going off. She knows daddy does this stuff, and it's cool. But my 8-year-old is just now starting to kind of go, wait a minute, my dad's, you're famous. Like, I'm like, I'm not famous, but I've done some cool things.
But you've done,
Um,
yeah, you've
yeah,
been
and
Superman.
yeah, and now that's starting to kind of register. And so, what's been really cool lately is they've only seen a few episodes of the show, but they like it, and they think it's fun, and they do get it. But now my 8-year-old, he he'll tell, he said, Dad, my dad's Superman. I'm like, huh? My dad, huh?
That's
What's your
awesome.
dad? Like he'll like flex with it, and it's
Right.
it's and it's really sweet when he gets really excited about talking about it, and that means a lot, because I that's the only reason I want to do this.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Like,
um,
and your kids should know that you were Superman. That's
yeah.
very few people get to claim. So,
Yeah, and
uh,
I've been trying to tell my 3-year-old Lavender, and she's like, "Daddy, Superman? Yeah, oh, okay. You're Superman." And she kind of like
uh,
she just accepts it at face value, which is great.
that's awesome.
So, it's really adorable. And so, and then I did some more Superman stuff. I don't know if you were aware of this, but there
Tell
was a
me.
there was a show last year for DC Kids that we did called DC Metal Force, and it was specifically designed to promote some toys. It's all the heroes in mech suits and things like that.
Hmm.
It's definitely much more of a kid iteration than anything previous, but it's fun. It's really fun,
Oh
and
wow, I completely missed this.
yeah, and it was not something I was very good about promoting either. So, but I'm proud of my work in it, because here's what was fun about that. So, my agent said, "Hey, they want you to do Superman for this new show, DC Metal Force, and it's going to be like just a 6 episode thing. We're gonna go. It's going to be for toys." And I'm like, "Okay, great, awesome." And I get to the record, and I'm talking with the director and the booth and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, we want you to read Brainiac." And I was like, "What?" I was like, I didn't know that. Nobody told me.
Surprise! We get to be the villain again.
And I'm telling you, kids, if you're going to be an actor, you got to really be in your top game, because when they throw that curveball at you, I admit I was very intimidated because I had nothing prepared at all.
Yeah.
And I just was like, "Mm, gosh." Now I'd read the script, and I mean, I kind of I knew the vibe of what was going on, but I'm like, Brainiac winds up being kind of the main villain throughout all this,
Mm.
and it's not apparent at the beginning, of course, but then it kind of evolves into that, and I just was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this, and I think John Quincy. Q from Star Trek. He was Brainiac on our
Oh,
show,
okay.
which was amazing to see him in the booth, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, that was amazing. Um, and then so I just kept thinking of his performance, and he's so good at those characters. And I just was like, oh, man, I can't remember exactly what he did, but maybe I can kind of get in that zone. Um, and what came out was something very much like this, and it's
Mhm.
very kind of flat and but kind of cold and sterile. So I was just trying to come up, and I was actually very when I listened to it, I was like, oh, actually, it's not bad.
Worked out, yeah.
It worked out. But I was very proud of it, and I was like, I got to really be, and actually, I think I had more lines as Brainiac than I did as Superman in this particular show. So it was pretty fun to play the villain and do that. And you're right, it is. It's like you kind of get to say these great lines and, like, stuff you'd never otherwise say. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, if you get a chance, go listen to it. I'm very proud of it, and they kind of cast all over the map for this one, but
Mhm. That's great. Yeah,
I didn't
I
get
I
for
don't
the
know
feed.
how this slipped past me, like, I
Yeah.
'cause
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I made a post about it, and the reason I did too is what was significant in the kind of background of this, was this was the very, very, very last thing, I think the very last thing that recorded at the Cartoon Network studios in Burbank.
Oh, okay.
This was before they had left the building. This was the last thing that we were recording.
Wow, interesting.
And it was surreal because they had moved like so many things out, and it was like you could see they were in the process of, like, vacating the building, but the booths were all there, everything was going. And so we recorded it there, and I mean, it was cool because there was a time in my life when I was much younger, and it was around, when I was starting out as an actor, and I was working at Universal Studios, and I was performing and doing different things. It was like 2001, maybe two,
Mhm.
in that ballpark, when I was just starting to really kind of pick up the pace with working and doing all the things. And I would go and I would go to Burbank in the mornings before my shifts if I could, and I would go to Einstein's, have a bagel and coffee, and I get a Backstage West from the old newspaper stand across the street that used to be there in downtown Burbank. And then I would read the auditions, and I would just try to, like, find stuff to do and see what was going on. Um and it would there but I would always walk by that Cartoon Network building.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I know exactly the one. I live
And
just on the street from it.
yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
so and I just felt this, like, sense of, like, one day, man, I'm gonna get there, doggone it. And I was
Yeah,
like, and
yeah.
this was at the height of Cartoon Network back then. I mean, they were like, doing all their Samurai Jacks and, like, all the stuff that was, like, really just, up and coming at that time. And so I was really like, man, I would love to work there someday. And it was just this kind of, like, I felt in my heart like someday it's gonna happen. I didn't know it would
Mhm.
be the last day that they
Right.
visited.
But
But
yes.
it was this kind of fulfillment of a thing, and and I like to say it was faith made into reality. And
Mhm.
whenever those moments happen, it's particularly special, and
Yeah.
especially given the nature of COVID. And I was in Utah at the time, so I come back to LA to record that specifically. Um, and it was a special moment because I just didn't I kind of abandoned hope of all that. And
Mhm.
it was kind of like, I feel like, God kind of winking at me saying, hey, Your faith has been realized in this moment.
Yeah.
I've always considered myself a person of faith, and so it was a very meaningful moment in that
Mhm.
journey, and I really was like, thanks. It was like, hey, you're not done yet. Things have felt weird, but you're not done.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
that's
it
great.
it was really really cool, and so it's significant for many reasons. But all that to say is, listen to DC Metal Force. It's great.
Okay.
And I'm proud of my work in it. I had done Superman for a couple other fun things. There was a Target commercial some years ago.
I
Um,
remember that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was like I did this one line as Superman, as the toy Superman, and that was, I think, when it was like a Man of Steel version of it, but I still sounded like me, and he was talking to a Lego Batman. It
Oh
was
gosh, yes,
it was
yeah.
really funny. Um, and so, and then there was another thing I did just recently, and I don't know if this is out yet, but there was, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I can't talk about this, but it was like some kind of figurine that I did, just a couple Superman lines for. So, and what's really cool about some of this stuff is you know, some people at DC and Warner Brothers, they're reaching out to me and they're asking me, which, kind of, um, unsolicited, which is really nice. And that feels good because it
Yeah.
feels like somehow in their minds, I represent the character, maybe not in all circumstances, but in certain ones, they go, yeah, that's our guy. Because they have so many different like creative visions. Like the DC, direct to video digital stuff is a whole different line. Like um, of characters, and they try to cast celebrities for that. But
Mhm.
and then like there's my friend Superman, my pal Superman with the Jimmy Olsen take on it.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Which I auditioned for as well, but they didn't take me. And then there's like the Teen Titans Go version, and then there's like and there's so many different universes where Superman exists, and so it's nice to know that they think of me for this once in a while, and
I mean that's cool though. Like, you broke in and now you're on the short list. So you're right. You're right. It's
well,
not
it's
for
a long short
everything.
list, but yes.
It's not for but it's cool that like they're like, "Oh, hey,
Yeah,
he is one of our Superman, and that's
yeah.
cool that you still get called for it."
Well, and it well, and there was a kind of a neat fan moment when I ran across this survey on IMDb, and it was like rank the Superman voice actors kind of thing, and I think I came in at number 7,
All
which
right.
which out of the many people that I like, that's actually super flattering. No pun
Yeah.
intended.
Yep, take the win. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it.
But next to some of the people that have done it, it's really special. And and Jerry O'Connell had voiced him for a couple DC animated things.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and he did a wonderful job. I thought. Actually, I thought he was a
Mhm.
really good choice. And what was funny is he was the Atom on our show. Um,
Oh, okay.
and so the day he came, he was in a couple episodes, and so he came to record. And I remember I was getting out of my car. We were recording at the Warner Brothers Ranch that day, and I was getting out of my car, and I was just kind of walking to the studio, and I heard this, hey Jason, Jason, and I was like, I turn around, it's Jerry O'Connell calling me, and I'm like, huh? I was like, hi. He's like, you're Jason Lewis, right? And I was like, yeah, you're Jerry O'Connell, right? And I was like, and he's like, yeah, yeah. And it was like apparently he just likes to know who he's working with and get to know them. So when he shows up, he's just cordial and nice, and it was just it was really cool. Like I had no reason to expect anything from the other actors there, but
Mhm.
he took the time to get to know every one of us.
Oh, that's
He
cool.
knew Rachel when he walked in. He knew everybody he was recording with. And
Mhm.
it was super cool. So I don't know if you're a Jerry O'Connell fan out there, he's a really super cool dude, and I just was very touched at how he was so thoughtful about that, and made me feel kind of like, thanks man, because we had
Mhm.
both voiced it, and he could have been total like "Oh, you're voicing Superman now, huh?"
Right.
He could have been, I was like, I don't know, but he didn't. He took a hold of the path, and it wasn't even a thought in his mind. I think he was just like, man, he was having fun, and it was
Yeah.
really cool. was really really cool. And
That's awesome.
yeah,
You mentioned getting to work with Kevin Conroy, and
yeah,
this is a Batman show. So
yeah,
did
yeah.
did you guys get to do multiple recordings over the course of the show?
Yeah, I mean, he was at almost every group record I was. I think there was just a handful of times maybe where we missed each other, and he
Hmm.
was in some episodes that I wasn't. So, but yeah, he every time it was us, he was there, and we were always next to each other, which was
Hmm.
really awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
And intimidating, because I was such a huge fan of Batman the animated series. I mean, as much as Batman the movie we talked about changing things, that show
yeah,
really,
absolutely.
like, I mean, took it to a whole other place of fandom for me.
Yeah,
And just really elevated my love of Batman and everything that was, yeah, had to do with that. And then of course the Superman animated show that came out of that was just as wonderful, and I think they
right.
did an excellent job with that whole thing. And Tim Daly's work on that was superior. Um, so getting to stand next to him, it was like, it was a moment of like, wow, this is my life, you know. And the first day
Yeah,
we recorded, he kind of looked at me and he's like, I've been doing this for 25 years. I never thought I'd be doing it this long, you know. He
yeah,
was just so humble, and and I was like, oh man, you're awesome.
yeah.
And I remember when we were recording together, and we were doing our lines, and we all had the headphones on, and his voice came through the headphones, and I just, it's like, yes, here I am. And I was like, oh my god, it just like was so like goosebumps,
Yeah,
But he was a very quiet guy. He didn't, as much as there was a lot of like talking in the studio between takes and just kind of hamming it up every now and then. Kevin was just kind of kept to himself and was very nice,
hmm
never standoffish. I mean, he would talk to you if you talked to him, but he just was very humble and very quiet. And it was interesting. I don't know. When he died, I was very surprised because he wasn't old,
no, yeah,
and I don't even know exactly what he was dealing with. It was never, but he did always look a little frail to me,
hmm
and surprisingly so, because I just, he always seemed like such a strong actor and so forth. But I just always like, well, maybe that's just his way,
yeah,
and but I think he probably was dealing with a lot and didn't say much,
right,
which,
yeah,
I also, yeah, it's his business. I deeply respect, um, but it makes him even more of like a fascinating person.
yeah.
But there was a few times where I'd sit there and pick his brain. So it's like, so you've done these years as Batman, but like you've done some on camera work. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, it was. I played George Washington in this mini series for television once, and it was and I was like, what? I was like, really? And I've never been able to find it, and I really want to find it.
Oh, yeah, I've never heard about that.
Yeah, and I just want to find that. And he's done a lot of theater as well, and so I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, he had a whole career before he even started doing Batman.
Yeah,
Doing like
yeah.
small roles in different TV shows and things like that.
Well, and he was he roommates with Christopher Reeve? Is that the story? Or he
No,
went to school with Christopher Reeve? Like there was a connection between Christopher Reeve and Kevin Conroy.
yeah, I feel like they all kind of came up together.
Yeah.
But Robin Williams was the one that was roommates with Christopher Reeve, I think, briefly, if I remember correctly. But I believe they were all part of the same kind of
Oh,
Juilliard.
here he goes. They both studied at Juilliard at the
Yeah,
same
they're part of
time.
Juilliard. Yes.
Yes, there we go. So Kevin Conroy and Christopher Reeve both studied together. So,
Yeah, so they would have known each other for sure.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Like, that's
I mean, but like, hey, man, you got to record next
hmm
to him, and
yeah, and then not just him, but I mean, like Dietrich Bader,
yeah,
you know,
Dick
who
Bader, such
who
a
was such a
yeah.
class act. I remember he was part of our whole press thing when we did the Comic Con press junket stuff, and we were all being interviewed and talked to, and it was a very intense day, actually. And they were shipping us around to different bloggers and you know
Mm,
internet personalities and stuff,
podcasters.
podcasters. I know, podcasters, crazy podcasters. Um, and it was cool because in every and me and Dietrich were paired together. So it
Oh,
was like
cool.
they would have different members of the cast paired together, and they put me and Dietrich together, and it was cool because like he did nothing but like build me up when he
Mhm.
was like he didn't even talk about himself. He just made me feel like $1 million, and you know there's lots of people in this business that are lousy, but I got to work with a lot of great ones. You know what I mean?
That's great.
And I will say there's a lot less lousy people than there are great people.
Yeah.
At least from my experience.
Mhm.
I can't say that's everyone's experience. Um, but I think you kind of attract what you put out there too. I
Right.
think there's a little bit of that sense of like, hey, it's and again, this is just in terms of working together, not in anything else. But like your art kind of like attracts similar art, and I think
Mhm.
a certain amount of that was happening there. There was like this lightning in a bottle and this synergy that was like happening with everybody in the cast, and it was really really cool to see. And it's a bummer it didn't have more life. I think that's where I really it was really getting ready to take off, and I think it was shut down. So
Yeah, it's and it is such a bummer. It deserved more. At least 52 episodes is good. But for
yeah.
anyone listening, like if they haven't seen it, do you have any favorite episodes or ones that you're particularly proud of
Oh
that you
wow.
would direct people to? Of being
I
like,
think,
ah,
yeah, no. So they're actually, so the one that's gotten me the people have talked about to me the most, and I actually am most proud of, isn't even one of the full length episodes. It's a short, and it's
hmm.
called Good Cop, Bad Cop, and it's Batman and Superman interrogating Deadshot.
Oh, okay.
But Superman kind of, and it was funny because Jim Krieg, he came to me mid-season when we were recording. He's like, "I have this idea. I don't know how we're gonna work it in, but I want this thing where, Superman kind of like, he's like, I want to be the good cop this time, and Batman's like, what, and, and so I was like, oh, Jim, I was like, if you can do that, like, oh my god, that'd be so fun. So sure enough, I mean, we went the whole season, it didn't happen, and then I thought, oh, bummer. But then these shorts came up for YouTube. They did these like 2-minute shorts,
Hmm.
and they made a whole little mini episode out of that moment. And I'm like, Jim, you're killing me. This is brilliant. And it was Superman begging to be the bad cop, when
Yeah.
they're interrogating Deadshot, and Batman being the good cop. It was really funny. And I think to this day it's still the one that people like kind of know them because it got viral, for a little bit.
Yeah. I
Um,
gotta, I gotta, I don't think I've seen it. So
oh man, if you
yeah,
get a chance to watch it, man, it's
I will.
it's
I
really,
got 3 minutes to spare before bed.
yeah,
Hey.
yeah. I'm really proud of it. But my other favorite episodes was Under a Red Sun. I just loved it. It felt like a really delicious Superman comic,
Hmm.
where he's Batman and Big um, uh, what's that Big Martha from what's her name? Oh gosh, um,
Big Barda?
Big Barda. Oh my god,
Okay. Yeah.
I'm so tired.
You're good.
Yeah, but Big Barda and Batman and Superman were fighting off these apocalypse drones that were invading, and then um, what's his head? I can't think. Steppenwolf. He
Oh, okay.
like
Mhm.
and like does this thing where he kind of like it's a trap to bait all Superman really, and he winds up getting like a boom tube and traps Superman on a red sun planet where now they are more equal,
Mhm.
and
Oh, yeah, I do. I remember
Steppenwolf
that.
thinks he
Yeah.
can like take him down, and it's this. I mean, it's such a great episode. And the end of it is like, well, that's why they call me Superman. And it's like this I mean, it's like a moment where I was like, it's the gift from the writing gods.
Mm.
And I think that was that Ernie that wrote that? I think Ernie Alpaca. I think they wrote that. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, I was really that was one of my all-time favorite, and I think it's one of the best written episodes that we have too. Any of the Paul Dini episodes that where I was saying
Mhm.
his words were amazing. And then there's another one. The one where where Felix Faust steals our memories, and Clark Kent doesn't remember he's Superman, Batman. Bruce Wayne doesn't remember he's Batman, and all this other stuff. I can't think of the name of it, but it's what's the name of that episode? Oh,
I know it sounds familiar, but I don't
but anyway,
remember.
it's like Firestorm is the only one that doesn't get his mind wiped because he's two minds, and so he's coming and he's like, "Hey guys, we're going to get our Justice League meeting," and Clark's like, "What are you talking about? Who are you?" And your hair's on fire, and like he doesn't remember anything, and he's like, "But aren't you Superman?" And they do the whole glasses bit, and it's
Yeah,
really really funny. That was one of my favorite episodes for sure. And
excellent.
yeah,
No,
but
there's,
yeah,
I mean,
all of
there are a
them.
lot of great ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you've got this kinship with the character,
Mhm.
and I'm sure you have some ownership of it. What were your thoughts going into this summer of Superman?
Man, oh man, I tell you. Um, so this is primarily based on All Star Superman, I think, and then there's a couple graphic novels that it pulled from, and it was great. I mean, I got to tell you, it was everything that I wanted it to be. It was very high art in a way,
Hmm.
um, and what I loved is that I think James Gunn kind of made his. I mean, as good as Guardians of the Galaxy was. And I loved Guardians of the Galaxy
Hmm.
because it takes these kind of ne'er do wells and turns them into you know people that give a damn.
Hmm. Yeah.
And Superman is not a ne'er do well. So he's not a character like that. But James Gunn found a way to make him kind of punk, and that
Yeah.
was what he does. And I thought that was so amazing and so profound.
Hmm.
It's such a profound thought that kindness is the new punk rock, you know.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and the moment that scene happened, by the way, can we just talk about that scene because they have the whole fight with going on in the background?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh
yes, I
my
know.
gosh, that is just brilliant. I just love that kind of stuff. Like that is so funny. You can hear Guy Gardner like trying to wrestle, and they're all trying to fight the alien, and
Mhm.
it just and it's so funny because in my mind, I always had this thought, and you'll appreciate this because I'm Universal, and Catherine will appreciate this too. The break room Universal backstage used to be right behind Waterworld, and
Mhm.
I mean, and so I always and you'd always have to walk past the backstage of Waterworld where the plane explodes and goes over. You see a whole other show
Yeah.
on the backstage of Waterworld, and but you see the fire fall, you see the guy fall on fire and stuff. It's all happening, but it's happening on this side too.
Mhm.
And but it's not nearly you're not watching a show, you're just kind of backstage. But I just always wanted to have like do I don't know why, but I had this idea for a scene where it's like this guy and this girl are having this like relationship conversation, and like one of them, I think the guy gets dumped or something, and it all happens as like in the frame, in the center of the frame is the middle of the Waterworld Tower, and you see the guy falling in flames and everything happening and exploding and stuff, and they're just having this conversation in as that's all happening. I just thought it would make the funniest scene because it's the oddity of our lives.
Right.
That was kind of what it was. I was thinking about showing, but and they did that with this scene, and it just cracked me up because I was like, that's my scene. That's like exactly what I like. That's exactly the humor and kind of humor that I go for. And I was just so like tickled that he decided to put this very poignant moment with Clark and Lois with this comedic background, and it was great. It was like that's just James Gunn doing his thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. Like I've loved seeing the movie going public like embrace
Mhm.
this idea of kindness is the new punk rock.
Yeah.
And I think like what a great approach to the character of Superman in a way
Mhm.
of like he makes him cool by embracing how he's not cool.
Exactly. And
And that's
that's
great.
and that's the one thing that I feel like a lot of the other iterations have lacked. We and I get that there's a place for the Snyderverse and people love it, and I do too. I like things about it.
Hmm.
But I like the kind of toughness that Henry Cavill brought to him and everything. But it was just so delightful to see this, where it was like, yes, this harkens back to the origins of Superman,
Yeah.
and what I know the Schusters were really trying to do, you know, when they created him. I remember when I was the Siegel and Schuster, sorry, when I was working on the show, I was reading this book called The Unauthorized Biography of Superman, and the author was very thorough in all of his research. And when they were designing Superman, in the early 20th century, and they were coming up with the concept, it was these Jewish guys, and they were trying to find a hero that they could relate to with dark hair and blue eyes, because everything else was blonde and
Hmm.
and stuff. And so they created this character that would have these attributes that had an almost messianic feel to him. And that's all. It's all there. It's all intentional. And it was interesting because the book says something. I can't remember exactly the quote, but there you can't. Superman is not the character you relate to. There's a lot of heroes like Spider-Man and Batman and these heroes that are designed to be relatable, and that you can kind of like go, yeah, I get Spider-Man. He's a kid having a bad day, and it's like, and then he's trying to fight Doc Ock. It's like,
Hmm.
we can relate to a lot of the trials and things that these heroes go through, and even really kind of own them for ourselves, and they mean a lot, and they have a place. But they said that, and those are important, but Superman's not the hero you relate to, he's the hero you believe
Hmm.
in. And that got me, because I was like, that is it. That is it. He, he himself will say he's not perfect. But he makes you want to believe in something better than yourself.
Hmm.
And that's what Gunn's film did. I think he kind of challenged all of us in this day and age,
Yeah.
kind of do a values estimation and say, where's your values at, man? Like,
Hmm.
where are you at these days? And have you asked yourself that question? It really kind of, took that head on, without being particularly political or anything else, which I really appreciated. I mean, I don't feel like they got into any of that, and it was
No.
it was
No.
really nice that it was just more of like a values check. Like, hey, man, where are your values at these days?
Right.
And how do
Yeah.
you feel? And how do you feel about that? And that's what it really was kind of asking all of us, and I thought that was really, really good. And it was, I would say, people ask me how it is, I say it's exceptional. It's an exceptional.
Mm. That
And
makes me happy.
yeah, and because I can't even say it was a good film. It's exceptional because it just, yeah, it does something that has started a movement, and I think it really has.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that, because when he was making this film, we have to keep in mind, like, the world was not exactly where it's at now.
Hmm.
Things have steadily gotten a little bit, weirder,
Right. Yeah.
since he was making the film,
Yeah.
which I think was over the last, like, 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
But a lot's changed in 2 or 3 years.
Hmm.
But when he was writing it and making it, he wasn't necessarily writing responding to exact things. But
No.
I think there has been this trend in this world where, we it's gotten so cynical and so calloused that someone like Superman does look extreme,
Right.
because all of us have gotten more calloused and cynical, not
Yeah.
because he's changed. And I think that's what's challenging for a lot of people when that mirror is held up. It's challenging for me, you know. Um, am I always, do I default to kindness? I don't know. I mean, like, my kids are making me really angry. Probably not. but you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like, but can I be? Can I be that person? I'd like to be. You
Right.
know? You know, and I am trying, and it's interesting because it's, you know, I've really been processing a lot of trauma in my own life through therapy over the last couple of years, and it's made me more at peace
Hmm.
with a lot of things. And when you find that peace within yourself, that's when you have the ability to be kind, because then you're not anxious, you're not stressing, you're not doing, and that's where a lot of, I think, meanness comes from,
Yeah.
is that particular thing. So because people are lashing out because of their own worries, concerns, anger, frustration,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, at whatever it might be. So I think that's, and I'm finding that when you are able to find your peace, inner peace, that's when you can really be okay with everything. It's like nothing can take that away from you. So,
Right. And I mean, and that allows the room for
hmm,
kindness, right? Like
yes,
it,
correct.
it allows you to be empathetic, and it allows
Hmm,
you to open up and see things and what people are
hmm,
going through. And I mean, yeah,
yeah,
like it's so important. And I'll just say good for you for, doing the work and
thanks.
examining your own life. And I mean, it's so important and not enough of us do it. And so,
Yeah.
credit.
Well, and I think thanks, man. I appreciate that. And it's, I kind of, as I'm healing and I'm growing and I'm learning, and I'm far from perfect or anything, but I very much want to encourage others to take that time to be objective, and really see what that looks like for yourself,
Right. Yeah.
because everyone's going to be different. And I have certain things that I discovered in that process, that were a little, that were hard. Like I feel like, I learned that I was very much ADHD, and that was something that was new for me. I think, and it's a particular kind of ADHD that's like more passive, and but it explains so many of the pulleys and triggers in my life that have kind of haunted me my entire existence.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and wrap that in a blanket of dealing with um, some subconscious rejection issues because of being adopted, and you've got this kind of perfect storm of stuff, and it's interesting because I feel like that's the core of me that touches Superman,
Mhm.
you know
Yeah, yeah,
where
that's
he himself
fascinating.
was very much uncertain, but trying to be a good person. Um, and and where he had those questions. I love that scene with Jonathan Kent in this one too,
Yeah, it was great.
where I mean, it just brought me to tears because it was just, you know, in my own life. I think I went and found my bio parents too, and my bio mom,
Mhm.
and I thought I would find more answers, but I only found more questions.
Yeah, wow.
And it's been a bit of a journey to kind of heal from that, and learn from that, and you know in realizing that my parents, you know my parents that adopted me are the ones that really, like, so that scene was very significant for me because
Wow, yeah, I can only imagine,
yeah,
yeah.
because it was like this realization of, like, you're going and searching for all this stuff, you're hoping for all this stuff, and it's understandable because you want to understand those things,
Right.
but the reality is that whatever those truths are, um, you know, aren't gonna shape you. It's going to be the people that love you that shape you,
Right.
and that's what I was really. It really made me feel good to see that, because I was like, that's something I need to learn. I That's something I need to remember, is that you know the people that love you and invest in you are going to be the ones that help you determine your choices, and make you who you are, not
Right.
not the ones that were elusive or couldn't be there for whatever reason. You know. Now, let me ask this question too. Do you think I thought it was interesting. This is the only thing that I was a little like "Huh?" about.
Okay.
Um, did his parents? Do you think the parent message was real? Do you think Lex manipulated that, or do you think that you think they were? Do you think the rest of that message was in fact something kind of dark like that, or
Yeah. I mean,
I don't
in the
know. I don't
movie,
have an answer for that, and I'm kind of conflicted about it.
in the movie, they make it abundantly clear. They have three different characters say the message is authentic.
Yeah,
So
right.
within the world of the movie, they want it to be abundantly clear that Lex did not doctor it. It wasn't a mistranslation. That is truly the message. And then James
Mhm.
Gunn's even been asked after the fact, and he's like, "Nope, that's the story I'm telling." So no,
Right.
there's no retconning this. There's no saying, "Oh, they got it wrong." That
Hmm.
was the message, and that is what informs Superman's
Hmm.
journey in the movie. And so
Right.
I I was like, it's certainly not the choice I would have made. Um,
Hmm.
and there was that part of me that kind of hoped in the end that, oh, it was a mistranslation.
Right.
But I guess I respect the that James Gunn is committing to the choice is because
Hmm.
that's the story you wanted to tell.
Yeah, and that's something that we have to remember as fans, that this is working within the universe that they're building,
Hmm.
and we have to kind of just take that for what it is. And I will say, I think that was a very interesting twist to
Yeah.
the whole thing, because you're right. They make a big point of saying this is this is legit. This is not, this is what it says. And it was bothering me because they kept saying it. And I was like, no, it's not. It's not.
Right, right. No, there's gotta be another explanation, and the movie is going, no,
It
no,
got me
this is it.
angry. I was like, no, damn it. It's but but yeah, you're right. And in the world of the film, it has to be,
Right.
because that's part of his journey, that at the end he puts the videos of him and Jonathan and Martha up, and I thought that was so profound, particularly for me,
Yeah.
um, because what I found, exactly what I found with my bio roots, was this kind of, you know, I thought that maybe I was gonna find them and have this, like, grandiose moment and vision with a big family, and what I found was just, like I said, more questions and a lot of sadness and a lot of hurt
Mm,
and a lot of bitterness. And um, it, just particularly my bio, my siblings, my half siblings are wonderful, and I love them, and we've actually all bonded, and it's been really great to be in touch with them.
that's
Uh,
great.
but yeah, we and they're just delightful, and we reach out every now and then. But yeah, it was just interesting to see that dynamic for me. And
Wow,
that's my
yeah.
own personal kind of, like, very personal message with Superman. So it was very profound for me, in so many ways, and it really encouraged me, and reminded me that, it's like Dorothy. It's like you don't have to go looking for everything else. It's right here in your backyard.
Right, right.
Um, and uh, and I thought that was a very profound moment to retell that message. So,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's amazing. I mean,
yeah.
I
Not to
can
get too deep
imagine.
here, but yeah.
No, no, I think it's so great, and honestly, like, thank you for, like, feeling comfortable and sharing because I think that it's there's so much to learn from that, and and
Mhm.
I appreciate you being willing to open up and share that.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, I want people to be able to go, hey, you know, there's another layer at which you can find the truth of this story,
Yeah.
for yourself. It may not look like mine, but I think that all of us probably have some questions about who we are and where we come from, and no matter how well we know our families.
Well,
So
yeah, and even if it's not like is as literal as it is in your
yeah,
situation, there's
right.
still, such an important message about like, um it's the ones that love us, it's the ones
Hmm.
that support us, it's the ones who believe in us. Those are the ones we need to focus on because
Right.
that's what matters.
Yeah, you want to.
Everyone's not going to be that, but the ones who believe in you, good as gold.
Yeah, and that's something that I've had to really learn is, and it's been hard because I think because of the way that I've been built, because of the trauma, because all these other, you want to chase the thing that you want approval from,
Yeah.
and love from. But the reality is that look for the ones that celebrate you and don't tolerate you,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's where you'll find your community and the people that empower you, and that's really powerful. I think that's a very powerful thing to consider. I for too long chased down people that would just tolerate, and I'm so thankful that I feel like I have a place where I can find a place to be celebrated. But with all the changes in my life, it's been hard because I feel like those are more distant now.
Hmm.
You and I were talking about just moving and stuff before the show, and so it was I it's been hard for me to hang on to that,
Hmm.
feeling so far away from where I started. But I think that's what this movie has done for me, is given me this sense of hope again, of like, okay, well, you're gonna kind of start over, and it's gonna look a little different now,
Right. Yeah.
and it's gonna be a new thing, and that's a good thing. But but grief is weird. You grieve the things that you let go and you have to move on from, and sometimes it hits you and you're sad, and then you got to kind of just wipe your tears and go, okay, you know like the Mandalorian says, this is the way.
Right. Right.
So
And I mean, I'll tell you, and I think that you've experienced some of this yourself, is like, way you've got a plan, right? This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do with my career. I'm going to
yeah,
do this, and it's going to lead to the next thing, and it's going to lead to the next thing, and it's going to be this great, nice, strong, and steady step, step, step,
yeah,
step. It doesn't go that way.
yeah.
There are steps back, there are steps
Mhm.
sideways. The staircase crumbles. You got to go find another staircase. But
Yeah,
that's all part of the journey. But you're still making progress, and it's sometimes
yeah,
easy to forget that in the moment. But like,
yeah.
I love the story you told about like being at the Cartoon Network building and remembering when you used to look at it and go, yeah, someday, because it's so important to remember how far you've
Mhm.
come.
Yeah, and that's, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I agree, and I think that you know yeah, no, that sums it up really well. I was going to say something else, but I lost my train of thought.
No, just know that I've been there too, and I'm sure everybody listening has been there in one way or another. And so it's just always a good reminder of like, hey, yeah, you're not alone. We all go through this, and like, it's okay. And you just keep moving forward, and it's gonna work out, and you're gonna figure it out. And if that can be reinforced with the things we love, like
Well,
movies
and that's the
or
thing too, is
superheroes.
I think one thing I realized is that, too, is that, you can't wait for the conditions to be perfect to enjoy your life.
Yeah, yeah.
And you got to take the good with the bad, and it's okay to feel the bad. It's
Hmm.
okay to be sad. It's okay to do all that. But you know, you got to live in the present. And you gotta really be mindful of that, because the journey, that's part of if you're not cognizant of that during your journey, I think you really miss out on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yep.
And I love Kung Fu Panda, where Master Oogway is like, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift, and that's why they call it the present. you know
Yeah, yeah.
and I just I as silly as that is, I keep that with me every day, because it just is the truth. It is absolutely the truth. And you have to take it day by day, step by step. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll tell you what. I already love the new Superman movie, but you've even given me a whole nother layer to appreciate it.
good. That's
So
good. And I hope
which
I
is
hope I gave other people to think about it too.
yeah, which I absolutely love. It is getting late. I have kept you
No, no,
for
that's fine.
longer than I was expecting to, but
This is
also
great.
it's really good stuff. And I'm so grateful for you to take the time and
Yeah.
to open up like that. That's
No,
that's
thanks,
really
man.
special, and I just hope I appreciate it.
No, and I actually, it's been good for me. It's been therapeutic. It's good because there's this saying in church, it's not until you confess it, you haven't really let it go. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that it helped tonight to be able to kind of talk about that in a way, and It was good. Thanks, man. I didn't
No,
expect to go there, but it was just,
me either.
you know,
But it
in
was great.
talking.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting because I remember when I that was my takeaway when I went and saw the film with my kids, and I'm walking out, kind of wiping my eyes, and they're like, "Dad, you're good?" I'm like, "I'm fine," you know. But it's like, but yeah, that I mean, talking about it with you, it all kind of, oh yeah, that was really the thing that I took away from this was just, our story's not done, and there is hope out there. So
Yeah. And I, you talked a little bit about, Superman isn't always the most relatable, but I think what I loved about the movie is Superman himself admitting, listen, I get up every day and I try to put one foot in front of another, and I try
mm,
to do the right
I
thing, and I
love
make
that moment.
mistakes. And it's like, yeah, we all. And
Yeah.
so the fact that Superman is doing what all of us are doing every single day, it
Hmm.
was one of the most relatable moments I can think of for the character, and
For
I
sure.
I
And
love it.
yeah, and I think that, he of course is relatable in some respects, in the sense of, the being outcast, and that, but I did love that moment, 100%, because it just, it kind of like, it shook Lex Luthor. Like he was not prepared,
Yeah, yeah.
for that at all. And it was kind of delightful to like hear him like get in to shake that perception, that Lex Luthor had of him. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, very cool.
this
Well,
was
for
great. Thanks, Andy.
everybody out there listening, if you haven't watched Justice League Action, this is a great thing to add to your Saturday morning routine. Like, you're
Yeah.
missing out on a gem that,
Ooh, get some
now is,
cereal, put in the
yeah,
video.
yeah. It's what is it? 8 years old? Did you say it came out
Uh,
2017?
it's 8 years old.
8 years?
2016 officially. It was December
Oh,
2016 when it came out, but it ran through 27, actually through 2018, I think. But
okay. All right.
and it's still running in places throughout the world, by the way.
Well, that's good.
And Cartoon Networks and throughout the world, they're still running it. And every now and then, I get a residual check, so it's kind of
Love
nice.
that. That's great. So yeah, people need to go if they haven't discovered it or if they need to revisit it. It's a good
Yeah.
time. I'm gonna introduce Harley to it this weekend. That's my
Oh, good.
plan.
Oh,
Uh,
thanks, man.
do my part. Do my part.
Yeah.
But yeah, and is
I'm
there
available for birthday parties, and no.
perfect? Love it. Next time you're in Florida.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
but yeah, anywhere that people can keep up with you. I don't know, how
Yeah. I
on
mean,
social media are you?
I'm on the all the socials. The JLu is kind of my misnomer. People think it says the Jew. But
Oh,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
JLu. But I've been adopting this moniker called the Reactor, because I am planning on I'm developing this kind of creative project, Reactor Studios, where I'm re actor, yeah, regarding everything in the actor.
Oh, wow, cool.
Acting is reacting. So it's kind of this thing I've been developing for some years, and now is the time for me to kind of bring it out. And so I'm working on that, more on that to come. But it's going to be stuff that I want, my wife and I want to start creating our own content, and then I also want to offer training and help to people that are looking to do stuff. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I enjoy doing when I get the opportunity.
Hmm.
So more on that to come. But yeah, I've hopefully this year we'll get around to it. But you know how things go with kids. It's like,
Right, right. With life.
your life, you just well, it's coming. Don't worry.
Awesome. Well, cool. So the J. Lou on the socials, if people want
Yeah,
to keep up with everything you're
and
doing.
Jason, if you look up Jason J. Lewis, you'll find most everything. So
Yeah.
hit that IMDb page, make my star meter go up. That'd be fun. Make me look valuable.
Excellent.
No. No, I'm kidding.
More
Um,
Superman.
yeah, and then yeah, I'm on Threads, and Instagram and Facebook. So Facebook, I'm not on as much anymore. It's more, and then TikTok. I'm on TikTok too. So,
Oh,
but
awesome.
TikTok is Jason J Lewis. Just so you can just look me up my name there. It's easy. So
Great.
yeah,
Perfect. All right. Well, everybody at home, go see what Jason is up to and
yeah, man.
enjoy some of his past
And
work.
if this touched your reach, let me know. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. If you've got some, if anyone hears this and kind of has some stories they want to share, I'd love to hear them, and I think Andy would too. So, yeah, let us know.
Awesome. Well, Jason, truly a pleasure chatting with
Yeah, man.
you. And yeah, thank you again for making the time.
Yeah, buddy. Sounds good.
And there you have it. Big thank you again to Jason. I really enjoyed that conversation, and I'm glad he took the time. And I thought it was going to be like 45 minutes, and we just kept going, but it was a blast. So big thank you to Jason. I loved the chat, and I hope that all you guys out there enjoyed it as well. But I got a little bit of time, and as always, I have some emails. So why don't we check in with you, fine feathered finks, and crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. Alrighty, here we go. First email here is from our old pal Mark Bickford. It says, "Hey guys, I really enjoyed Superman. I did think of a couple things related to your discussion. First, you mentioned who Metamorpho's partner might be. In the credits, there's a listing for Sapphire Stagg, who is his girlfriend in the comics, so I assume that's her. I have no clue how they got a baby who's going to grow up to be Gumby. Also, so far as Mutant Toes goes, I briefly knew a woman who had a lot of pageant experience, as in she had won a state-level Miss USA title. I'm not a foot guy, but her feet were awful. I never asked her, but I assumed it was because she had spent so much time in horrible heels. I wouldn't be surprised if Eve were similarly afflicted. I also have a comics recommendation for you, unrelated to movies. Wonder Woman issues 20 and 21, in which someone has been accused of a crime they didn't commit, and Diana enlists the world's greatest detective to help solve it. Reasons that I think you should read it are, it's a complete story in 2 issues. Those are rare now, and I think we should support them. It's an old school team up. Those are also very rare outside of my major crossovers, and I think we should support that. There aren't many places you could do a fish out of water story with Batman, but Diana's world is one of them. There's some nice character moments between Bruce and Diana. There's one line, you'll know it when you read it. I'll just say that it's not spoken by either Bruce or Diana, and I thought it was awesome. A couple questions. First, it struck me that it's been, 15 years since Iron Man. There's a whole generation of new kids who have the chance to get in at the beginning of the new DCU and have it be their thing. Do you think that the opportunity to attract new young fans is going to be hurt because the movies and shows seem to be alternating between all ages material and mature stuff like Creature Commandos and, I'm guessing, possibly Lanterns? It's going to be a Sunday night HBO show, since when were those anything but TVMA? Second, Jason Momoa said he's only playing a small role in Supergirl. Do you think there will be a harmful amount of backlash from people who really only care about seeing Lobo in the film, if he doesn't have a large part? Thanks, and I hope you're enjoying your summer, or in Brendan's case, yet another winter without Christmas. Take care, Mark." Thanks, Mark. Okay, lots of stuff here. Well, the Mutant Toes thing with pageant girls, I don't know if that's a thing, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think your logic is sound. I can see that. I appreciate the recommendation. Wonder Woman 20 and 21, a team up between she and Batman. That sounds awesome. Love it. And then the question about, if this being an entry point to a new universe, will it turn people off because some things will be all ages, some things will be mature? I mean, at least for now, the mature stuff it's kind of niche anyway. Creature Commandos, it certainly did well, but the animated adult Suicide Squad spinoff on HBO Max, it's not the big all ages event that something like Superman is. And so I don't think they're going to be kids who go see Superman and then are like, well, now I should watch Creature Commandos. Oh no, it's not for me. I don't think that will happen. Lanterns will be interesting, but you're right. It does feel like it will probably skew older. So I understand the point, but because James Gunn has been clear about he wants every project to be true to itself and to reflect the sensibilities of the creatives behind it, and he doesn't want them all to feel the same, I think that's good. I think that offers variety, and yeah, not everyone has to watch everything. Even the MCU, just judging by the box office grosses, not everyone saw everything, and that's okay. And so I think that's true here too. I think it'd be different if they did a Batman movie and made it rated R or something like that, or Wonder Woman, and went way too mature for one of those big tent poles that should be more all ages at least. But for now, it seems like the more mature content of the HBO Max stuff, that seems like the right place to do it, and I think that's okay. And then Jason Momoa, I did see that quote that Lobo is a pretty small role in Supergirl. I think that's okay too. I don't think that Lobo is going to be an attendance driver for Supergirl. I think it's a bonus. So I think that people who are interested in Supergirl will go see Supergirl, and Lobo's a bonus. I don't think there's going to be many people who only go for Lobo. So I'm not too worried about it. But I think he certainly has the potential of being a scene stealer, and then hopefully we'll want to see more of him. So thank you for the message. Thank you for the recommendations and thoughts. And always good to hear from you, Mark. Next email is from Matthew Carey. It says, "Hey, Supercasters, I wanted to jump in and give my thoughts about Superman and the new DC universe we're getting. First, I love the movie. I was getting excited for it as the summer was progressing. It was feeling a bit like the summer of 1989. My wife and I went to see it. We both loved it. I think every actor nailed their part. The movie never left me wanting for more. It kept moving and going in a great way. We jumped into a world that already existed but didn't need a lot of exposition to explain it. It was a fun movie to watch, and it made you feel good coming out of the theater. Everyone in the movie was great, but I think Nicholas Hoult was the standout. David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan did great, but my favorite character was Edie Gathegi's Mr. Terrific. I was not expecting that, but he was great. And Andy, I can say you're in good company. The scene between Clark and his dad killed my wife too. We both got choked up in the theater. I've been listening to the soundtrack a lot, and one thing I discovered that I love about it, every character and setting has their own theme. When Superman's on the screen, you can hear it in the music. When it's Lex Luthor, he has a theme. Even the Daily Planet got a theme. It's been great to relive the movie while listening to the score. Lastly, I know this is getting long, I'm excited for the universe. I can't wait to see what Lanterns and Batman are going to look like and all the other projects. I think this is the best way to kick off a new DC universe. Hope I haven't been too spoilery for those who haven't watched it, and I hope I made the big listener reaction cleaning of the mailbox episode. Love it when I get that notification of a new episode. Keep up the great work, Matt." So Matt, this came in like literally hours after we finished recording the mailbag episode. So you missed it by an episode. I'm sorry, but better late than never. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Glad that you love the movie. Glad that it's got you excited for what's to come. And I agree with you about the score. I've been saying it. I think not everyone is giving the score its due. It's awesome. I love it. And a lot of it is the reason you said is, Superman has some very distinct themes. He has the big heroic theme. There's the Williams theme. There's also the quieter, more emotional theme. But the Daily Planet has a theme. Lex has a theme. Yeah, I think the score is terrific, and I'm glad you've been enjoying it too. Thank you for sharing, Matt. All right, next one here. It is from Slam Dannon. It's been a minute since we've heard from Slam. It says, "Hey, Bat Team, I'd like to know your thoughts on Fantastic Four. I know Andy at least was planning on seeing it. Also, I'd like to know whoever is on today's show, thoughts on the upcoming Avengers movies. Though I think Marvel has started to right the ship, so to speak, with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, it seems pretty impossible they'll be able to balance the 25-plus cast member due to sheer size. Also, though I love RDJ, his inclusion as Doom does feel like a stunt, nostalgia casting, and seems a little desperate. Is there a thing as too many heroes in a movie like that? Please answer me. If you don't, I'll slam my fists into an industrial meat grinder." Thanks, Slam. What? I like that. It's madness. Okay, so asking for Marvel analysis on a Batman show, Slam. You're an agent of chaos, and I respect it. Well, I did see Fantastic Four. I can tell you, I'm alone, but I know Jamie has not seen it. He was not all that interested. He's like, I'll wait till Disney Plus. I'm pretty sure Brendan hasn't seen it either, so don't feel too bad that they're not on this episode, because I don't think either of them have seen it. I went, and I really liked it. I didn't quite love it. Oh, that's becoming my catchphrase. But let's say I liked it a little less than Superman, and that's not because of my DC bias, I promise. Because I did really like it, and like for the first act, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, and like it had the chance of me liking it even more than Superman because of how good that first act was. And then the second act I thought was a little it sagged a bit. It was spinning its wheels a bit, and it was and then the third act, I think it ended pretty strong. So overall, I really liked it. For me, it wasn't quite a home run, but I thought it was great. I'd give it 7 out of 10, B plus. I dug it. So, I'm looking forward to seeing it again when it comes home. But in the meantime, I had a good time with it. And I thought the cast was great. I dug the vibe. I dug the look. I dug the music. I thought it was a little boring in the middle is the biggest thing. But overall, Fantastic Four, I thought it was good. As for the upcoming Avengers movies, I don't know a heck of a lot about Secret Wars. Obviously, Doomsday has started production. I basically have the same concern as you, Slam, is it's going to make a shitload of money, but trotting out like every possible actor who has ever played a Marvel character who's still alive just feels kind of desperate and like too much to me. And then RDJ is Doctor Doom. I'm not into that either. I love RDJ. I love him. I think he's great. He was an amazing Tony Stark, but casting him as Doctor Doom, I agree with you. It feels like a stunt. And I'm like, there's so many great actors who could have played that part. Why are you doing this? So I can have my mind changed. Sure. I just wish it sounded more focused, like a story they really wanted to tell, but instead it feels like, we got to get our mojo back. So we're calling in everybody. We're calling in the troops. Everyone's going to be in it. Don't you worry. It just feels like too much. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the trailer is. I want to like it. I always want to like a new superhero movie, but yeah, just the way it's like shaping up doesn't have me super excited. I feel like movies like Fantastic Four, I think, are better for rebuilding their brand than this random everything in the kitchen sink Doomsday movie. That's my take. So I don't mean to sound too negative, but sounds like you feel similarly. All right, next message here. It's from Justin. It says, James Gunn reaffirms that Robert Pattinson's Batman is not part of the DCU. And this is a quote. It says, I've said it before, we've talked about it before, but it's not what's happening right now. Everything's in flux. We're figuring out what we're doing next. So what do you guys think of this quote? I interpreted that as it's now more possible that the two universes will be merging. I'm more positive on the Batman than you, but I absolutely do not want a merge. Henry Cavill said it best. The bat is dead, bury it. I want a more comic accurate Batman for the DCU with a fully fleshed out Batman the Animated Series Gotham. I don't think we can get that with Pattinson. I enjoy that interaction. I enjoy that interaction for what it is, but I'm ready to leave it behind. However, after all the nominations that the Penguin got, I don't see them killing the universe. Best, Justin. Thanks, Justin. I see what you're saying. The quote allows for more doubt than previous quotes about using Pattinson's Batman in the DCU. I still don't believe it'll happen. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think the two styles are completely at odds and will feel really weird if you try to put them together. So I don't think it will happen. All things are possible, I guess. But yeah, I think he's just tired of answering the question. So every time he answers it, he tries to answer it using different words. And maybe that's what this was. At least that's what I'm hoping that's what this was. But yeah, I don't think they're going to use Pattinson's Batman in the shared universe. And again, it doesn't make sense to that. The Reeves verse feels very much its own thing, and it does not feel like a place where Superman would fly in. So anyway, time will tell, but for now I am still believing that it will stay separate. But thanks for sharing, Justin. Next email is from Dill Dietz. It says, what's up, Holy BatCasters? I have to write in about the new Superman film. I'll be honest, it made me tear up. As a kid, I was obsessed with the 90s Bat flicks and the first Spider-Man, so my parent went to the library trying to find anything appropriate for the under 10 crowd. They came back with tons of collected editions of the 40s and 50s Batman and Superman comics. The wild imagination and emphasis on persevering and doing the right thing, even when it's hard or not selfishly beneficial, made me a fan for life. The lessons in these stories were dear to me because just a few years later, I went through a very dark time in my life. They helped me process my trauma in a way that a kid's brain could understand and get to the other side. Fast forward a few years, and I was shocked to learn how hated this era was in the fan community, that the era, quote, never should have happened. I was overjoyed that this film went all in on the Silver Age imagination, hopefulness, and the long-hated word wholesome. I never thought I'd see the day that this era was treated not as a parody, but with respect. So my question, is there a particular superhero story, era, or other content that helped you through hard times? Thanks, guys, for the great podcast. Dill. Thanks, Dill. And I mean, listen, every era of comics has their place and has their time. And that's fun that when you were a kid, your parents found all these cool old comics and you dove into them and they sparked your imagination and they helped you through hard times. I think that's awesome. So yeah, I'm so glad the new movie worked for you. As for a superhero story, era, or other content, oh man. I can't say an era, right? I mean, I guess when I was growing up and I really got into comics in the late 80s, early 90s, that I would say that era because, at that point I was a kid becoming a teenager. And like I was happy to retreat into my world of comic books and superheroes, and I had friends, so it's not like I was like the lonely child who only read, but still it was like this wonderful escape. And so yeah, I think it brought me a lot of comfort and a lot of help in just the process of growing up. So I mean, that era, I would say, I feel like most fans, their favorite era is the one that was current when they first got into comics. So for me, it was late 80s, early 90s, into the mid 90s. Like, I adore that era because that was the era that captured my imagination at that time. But yeah, so I mean, that's what comes to mind. I would also say, I think I might have even said it when we did the Batman Begins commentary, like the idea of, why do we fall so we can pick ourselves back up, I think is another wonderful theme. It's a wonderful thought, and it's something that all of us can stand to remember when we when we fall on hard times. I mean, honestly, kind of goes in with my conversation with Jason is, man, we all stumble. We all have setbacks. We all have problems. We all have challenges, and sometimes we think we're the only ones who are going through that, and we're not. Everyone does it. And so, yeah, it's nice to have a superhero story or a Batman story to remind yourself, oh, you know what? It's okay to fall. You just got to get back up and you got to keep going. And guess what? You're going to fall again. You're going to fall again in a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years. I don't know. You're going to fall again, and you got to remember it's time to pick yourself back up all over again. So yeah, lots of great messages and lots of great things that can be taken from our favorite superhero stories that just help us in real life. So thank you for that message, Dill. Next message here is from Paul Shanley. It says, hey guys, I'm glad you like Superman. If I'm honest with myself, I'd probably oh man, typos, people. I blame autocorrect. It's only gotten worse. Anyway, if I'm honest with myself, I probably like Man of Steel a little better, but given that I now have a 6-year-old, I love that this is a Superman that I can share with my son, and I think the franchise is in a fantastic place. Between this and Peacemaker, I think James Gunn is absolutely the right guy in place for a connected DC universe, and I'm very excited to see what's next. I've seen a lot of stuff as to debating whether or not Superman is a hit compared to some other movies. I think it's important to acknowledge that the DC brand is somewhat damaged right now. I think that the audience and critical reaction to this movie are really important in building some goodwill. I think that the success of the movie is very similar to the success of Batman Begins. It was not a runaway hit, but it went a long way in repairing the damage of Batman and Robin. It would not surprise me if the next time we see Superman, we see a bigger box office. Thanks as always, Paul. Thanks, Paul. Well, I completely agree. It is not the runaway smash, and me and Jamie talked about this last time. It's not the runaway smash we hoped, where it would own the summer and make 600 million domestic and another 600 million overseas. It's not that, but it's doing very well. And more importantly than it doing well at the box office, people like it. And God, I think me and Sean Gerber talked about this when I had him on at a certain point where people were like, what's the bar for success? And we're like, listen, it should turn a profit, which allegedly it already has. It's over 550 million worldwide right now, which is very good. It's a very solid result. So it is apparently on the brink of profitability. So that's important. But more importantly, and it's what we said, is people have to like it. And you're right. we're coming off a really rough time for DC on film. You know, the universe died. The last movies in that universe were virtually ignored by the movie-going public because everyone knew that the universe was dead and there was a new one coming. And so, yeah, we're coming off of, over 10 years of a pretty negative reputation for DC on film. There certainly were bright spots that made money. Obviously Wonder Woman, obviously Aquaman. You know, there were bright spots, but all in all, like, man, DC on film has taken like 10 years of slings and arrows, and it's garnered this reputation, which personally I think is completely unfair because I think most of these movies are good or great. But you can't deny that that's the reputation of like, oh, DC movies stink. And so, yeah, like this movie is starting to rebuild the goodwill of that brand. And it's funny because we're in like Marvel and DC are in very weird spots right now, whereas Marvel's having to rebuild their brand. Who would have ever seen that coming? But, you know, post Endgame, it's been very hit and miss. And then over the past, especially like 2 years, maybe even 3 now, the Marvel movies have not been packing them in, haven't been doing as well. Their brand is tarnished. DC is trying to rebuild after a tarnished brand, and it's like trying to rebuild that trust. So you're right, this movie has done that. The discourse around this movie is extremely positive. The hype around this movie continues. It's week to week grosses, like the drop-offs have been pretty small for Superman, which is good. It speaks to good word of mouth. So it's going to make some money. It's not going to be the $1 billion smash, but it's going to make some money. But more importantly, like, it is a huge, like you said, piece of goodwill in rebuilding the DC brand, and that is priceless. So, yeah. I mean, you know, and people talk about Man of Steel, which, again, I love Man of Steel, but Man of Steel came out a year after The Dark Knight Rises. So, like, the Man of Steel was kind of, like, the excitement around that was not just the return of Superman, but it was coming off of the Dark Knight trilogy, which was like this hugely successful thing with DC on film. So it's like, oh, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy that we all loved and broke all these records, now they're going to do Superman. Yeah. So, like, it was coming in and it had a lot of goodwill as it started. And this Superman, unfortunately, has the opposite. Like, it's trying to overcome a lot of bad will. So, yeah, it's just the landscape is so different. So, it's silly to debate. You know, there's no debating, like, yeah, it's not going to be $1 billion movie. But what it has done is something to be very proud of. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And I think that it is a great first step in rebuilding the DC universe and the reputation of DC movies. All right, well, there are a couple emails left, but that's okay because Jamie and I are going to be talking in a few days, so we're going to get to them then. If I didn't get your email this time, it's okay. I'm at the 2-hour mark, and I'm going to let you all go, and we're going to get to those later. So thank you to everybody who wrote in to the Wayne Manor mailbox. If you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, that email address is holybatcast@rf4rm.com. And as always, love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your questions. It's always fun, so love that. So we're going to wrap it up. This episode of Holy BatCast. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for downloading or streaming the show. Please do follow or subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, and rate and review us. We would love it. A 5-star review really helps us out. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like all this hard work I put in is worth it. But it also does help more people find us, helps with the algorithm, blah, 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 all that stuff. So yeah, if you've never reviewed the show, a 5-star review is awesome. It only takes a minute, doesn't cost a penny. Would love that. Again, follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. If you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. Our theme music was created by the talented Gaurav Venkateswar. You can find his work at gvtunes.com. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for Jason for joining me. And thank all of you. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Holy BatCast is not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment. The views and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for. You don't have to hang up. I was just giving myself a place where I can edit.
Like, that's hilarious.
But yeah, well, because I should have warned you, be like, okay, I'm going to say goodbye, but it's not really goodbye. Just
No, I know how these things go.
you're an old pro.
I know how the sausage is made.
Right.